vast majority of my life, I have not had to navigate the unknown. I've had a pretty good idea of where I wanted to head and what I wanted to accomplish for, let's say, the first 50 years of my life. And put out plans, followed the plans, and life was pretty easy for the vast majority of that time. I don't know that during that period of time I submitted much to the Lord's will for my life. It was more what Mark wanted to do and where Mark wanted to end up at. And I don't know that I was real happy with that either, even though life was pretty easy. There was a certain degree of, let's call it discontent, internal discontent. I reached a stage where my career was fruitful financially, but not fulfilling internally. And I realized that I needed to change course. Went back to school, got another degree, and then got into the ministry, a place where I vowed I would never be growing up, and started to find contentment in what I was doing and fulfillment from both a spiritual perspective and other venues too. Then came the fall of 2019, October, when my wife of 36 years was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And life turned upside down, literally, in the matter of minutes. And everything was unknown in front of me. Didn't know how to process her illness. For someone who liked to be in control, had no control over the illness, had no knowledge about direction. It was just a foreign area that we were headed into. And the end result of that foreign area we were headed into was also uncharted water for me, because then I would be alone. And so my initial reaction was trying to control it, try to over-spiritualize my response, and try to manage my wife's pain and my pain. And I didn't do a very good job in any of that. And the disease progressed. And we had ups and downs during that period of time in terms of her health that were challenging to me as a Christian. You read things in the Bible like, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you ask the mountain to move and the mountain will move. And I thought that I had faith that was larger than a mustard seed, and I asked the mountain to move and the mountain wouldn't move. And her disease continued to progress to the point where in January of 2022, January 16th, Ruth died. And all of a sudden, I found myself completely alone. Kids are grown and gone, have their own lives. And the life that I thought that I would be living at that stage in the game changed dramatically. Empty house, it's quiet, nobody's there when you come home from work. Having to cook meals for myself, going to social events, and being a single again, and I hadn't been single for over 40 years. And the whole world was unknown. Do I go back to work? How does that look? Who are my friends going to be? Because our predominant friends were couples before. Are they going to be the same? And processing grief was a complete unknown that I had no understanding of. None whatsoever. And so it sort of felt like you were jumping out of an airplane without a parachute on your back, and the ground's coming up on you really quick, and what do? And what I found is that I had to lean on the Lord in a new way, in a really dependent way. And I think that that's really what we're supposed to do anyways, but it took me 60 years to figure that out and come to a point where my daily existence really depended on leaning on the Lord. My prayer life prior to that point in time had always been to pray for things, specific things. If I had a friend who was ill, I'd pray for their healing or touch to their body. If I had a need, I'd pray for that need. If my car broke down, I'd pray about the car breaking down. And then after Ruth passed away, the material things in life became of less importance to me and less value. And what I really needed and what my prayer came to after that was, Lord, I just need your presence. I just need to know that you're here and that you're walking with me and that you love me. I just need to be surrounded by your presence. If I have your presence, then I can navigate the unknown. And each day at that stage in the game was an unknown. And I think that that's the thing that I've come to realize over the last year and a half since she's passed, is that the Lord is always there, ready, willing, and able to walk and carry you, actually. But he's not going to do it unless you ask. And I got to the point where I had no other option. I couldn't rely on myself. Didn't have Ruth anymore to rely on. And life had changed so dramatically. I needed the Lord. And what I did find is when you cry out in those circumstances, the Lord is faithful. The Lord follows through. And he makes you aware of his presence in such a unique and comforting way. Over the last year and a half, when I've had those really down moments and I cry out, there is this peace and calm that comes when you fully surrender and you rely on the Lord. And I think that that's what he always wants to be. But we are so full of self that we get in between the relationship with the Lord that you might have. And that's what I was. I was always full of self. I had the answers, I had the plans, and I had been successful at it. But I got to a point where that stuff didn't matter anymore. And what I needed was the presence of the Lord. And so I would say, You know, how do you navigate the unknown? You navigate the unknown by letting the Lord navigate and lead the way, and you just let him carry you and ask for his presence to surround you.